would like to preface this assignment by letting you know that I know that you posted the Down syndrome awareness video for the campaign, Assume I Can campaign. But I recorded this before I saw that you posted it, and I found it myself through Instagram. So I wanted to let you know that real quick. And then also the reason that I'm changing outfits in every single video is because I did record this over 2 weeks. So yeah. The first video that I chose for this week's assignment is the Assume I Can campaign. It's kind of like a campaign ad, but I saw it through Instagram. So I'm going to put it in like the ad video for the media type, but it basically follows a girl with Down syndrome throughout her daily life. She says things such as, you assume that I can't drink. You assume that I can't live on my own. Like, you assume that I can't do these basic things, so I don't, and I can't. And she basically says, once you start assuming that I can do things such as live on my own, such as drink, such as like curse and do things that normal adults do, then I'll start doing them. And it really talks about the power of assumptions and the power of stereotypes. Especially those with Down syndrome, they struggle with like stereotypes of being treated like a child, of being treated like being underestimated, basically. And it's a very powerful campaign. If you have not seen the video, I definitely think that you should watch it because it's incredible. It spreads such a good message. The main actress does actually have Down syndrome, and she is wonderful. She's a great actress. So the next piece of media that I chose was, again, advertisement, but it was advertisement for specifically Barbie. I did a women's studies discussion post about a month ago on Barbie, and I remember when I was doing this discussion post, I was thinking, when you think of Barbie, you think of like the blonde, tall Barbie, and we were talking about inclusivity with like other communities such as the Black community, but we didn't really talk about the inclusivity with those with disabilities. And so I looked it up and I talked about it in my discussion post, which is why I keep looking over. It's because my dates are right here from the discussion post. And Barbie actually did not come out with a disabled doll until 1997. And even then, I believe that it was just a wheelchair Barbie and they didn't have other types of disabilities. It's kind of adding to that harmful stereotype that a disability is only something that you can see. And a lot of times when people think of disability, they just think of that wheelchair, and it's kind of added on to that. They did release a disability campaign in 2019, which I think is pretty late to release a disability campaign, because the disability is nothing new. So they definitely should have included more dolls with disability before then. And then they didn't come out with a disability, a Barbie with Down syndrome until I believe April of last year. So less than a year ago, almost a year, they didn't have advertisement for a Down syndrome Barbie. So it was just really interesting to kind of see that perspective of the way that Barbie treats disability and the way that they advertise disability within their doll. So the next piece of media that I looked at this week was, it is a musical, a movie, and a book. But I looked at the musical version of it. It is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It follows this character, Quasimodo, who has kyphosis, I believe hearing impairment and vision impairment, as well as a wart on his face. He is definitely the inspirational hero type, especially in this story. I especially love this story because it's not only about disability, and it's not just about Quasimodo, but it follows other themes too, especially like the themes of death, lust, and jealousy. It has those themes, but it's not just about Quasimodo. It's not about disability. It's a story about a character who happens to have a disability, which I think is very important when you're looking at disability representation, is not just seeing characters whose stories focus on disability, but they focus on other themes as well as them just having a disability. The version that I looked at, I especially loved because I looked at a musical, and the musical has a lead deaf actor, and he plays Quasimodo. And so he is speaking the entire time through sign language, and the gargoyles around him is interpreting it. And I would love to see this musical live. I don't think that it's on anymore, but it just the way that the creator interpreted it and made the main actor deaf and have disabilities, I feel like is so important, because it can definitely help young children when they're watching things to see themselves doing things, like to see themselves be an actor and be like, I can do that. I can go up and be in a musical even though I can't sing or I can't hear music and things like that. So the next piece of media that I chose is actually a YouTube video. I ran into it when I was searching for The Hunchback of Notre Dame for the video of the actor playing Quasimodo, the deaf actor, performing out there. I'm going to link it so you can see the exact video I was talking about, but I wanted that specific video because it's a very powerful video. I absolutely love it. But I found this, and it's called Satisfied, and it's a video of a deaf actor acting out Satisfied from the musical Hamilton. So I think I chose this video, and I've seen it a while back on TikTok while scrolling, but I think that this video is so powerful, and the reason that I chose it is because it's important for young people with disabilities to see older people with disabilities put in positions that you would not normally see people with disabilities put in. In other words, like having a disabled person act out a character that would normally be an able or a non-disabled individual. It's important for people to see this because it shows that that there's not this narrow block that you have to choose. You don't have to just be a person with a disability. That's not the only thing you identify by. Definitely it will boost people's confidence to see more representation in non-disabled media, rather than just being put in this box of this is the media you get. This is about a specific disabled character. Instead, it's like, oh, this character wasn't written as disabled, but it's played by a disabled actor. And being disabled isn't a part of their story, but it is important, and it's still played, it's still shown. It's shown in a correct way, in a way where it's not just talking about someone, identifying someone as just having a disability. The character is much more, and it's much more broad. So the last piece of media that I chose for this engagement activity is a book called Flowers for Algernon, and it was written by Daniel Keyes in 1958. It is a great book. I originally was going to do a social media video for my last media analysis, but I decided to do this book because it does such a good job of representing disability, in my opinion. The book does use a lot of outdated language, which I wish it would not have, but it was written in 1958 before the language was considered outdated. It is heart-wrenching. It is about an adult who has an intellectual disability, and it kind of follows his story through this experimental treatment to treat his disability and kind of cure it, but he does end up passing away from it. It definitely comes to show that disability is not something that has to be cured, and I think that it does a great job, again, especially for its time, of conveying this theme of disability not being a bad thing. Charlie is the main character, and he is seen as the inspirational hero type of kind of overcoming his disability, but I think that the author does a good job of disability being seen as not a bad thing by the main character. The main character doesn't see his disability as a bad thing himself, and his disability isn't written as a bad thing. It's not written in the book as this curse that overlooms him, but it's seen as around him. It's seen for the other people in the book and the society he is around as a bad thing. And the author does a good job of conveying this. He conveys this through writing about his friends who friends, quote unquote, who make fun of him for his disability. And as it changes from this pity story of Charlie's disability into a horror story of him losing all his thoughts and ideas. His handwriting, I believe, gets worse when you're reading it. I listened to the audiobook to refresh my memory, but I remember when I first read this, his handwriting gets worse to convey him kind of losing all cognitive abilities when the treatment kind of fails. And as this goes, it can really become terrifying for the reader to sit and read. The main theme of the book, I believe, is how people were treated with disability, because again, it does show his friends treating him very poorly and society treating him poorly. The doctor in the beginning of the book just gets frustrated with him for no reason. And then it also kind of shows that disability isn't a bad thing. It's not this cure. And that intelligence isn't something that needs to be really fixed. Everyone has a certain degree of intelligence. And for Charlie, his intelligence is his happiness that he loses at the end of the book and at the end of the story. Overall, I think it does an excellent job of representing disability. I have a friend with autism who actually was the reason they reminded me of it this week when they were talking about it with me. We were just talking about books that we read when we were in grade school, and they were telling me about how they remembered reading this, and I was like, wait, I remember reading that, and I can talk about it in my discussion, which I am. But I wanted to make sure that I was correct when I was writing all this about it. So I did do a little bit of research onto how the disabled community views this, and they definitely, a lot of people related to it. And of course, everyone's going to have their own opinions on how it represents how each piece of media represents disability. But overall, this has been a very positive message to a lot of people with disability, and a lot of people with disability relate to it, especially learning disabilities and autism. From what I saw, they relate to it. So I definitely think that it does a good job, and it is a positive message, even though how sad it is and how, again, heart-wrenching the book is.